Good day, everyone. I am Shallow Jazel Priya Byron. Welcome to my presentation. As you can see on the screen, our topic today is the spread of asylums. In my presentation, I'll focus on the background of asylums and how the mentally ill people were treated at that time. What is asylums? Asylum is an institution offering shelter and support to people who are poor, homeless, unemployed, criminal, and mentally ill. As early as the 12th century, many towns in Europe took some responsibility for housing and caring for people considered mentally ill. That's according to Kroll, 1973. Remarkable among these towns was Geel, in Belgium, where townspeople regularly took into their homes the mentally ill who were visiting the shrine of Saint Dimphna for cures. In about the 11th or 12th century, general hospitals began to include special room facilities for people exhibiting abnormal behavior. One of the most famous of these hospitals was the Hospital of St. Mary of the Bethlehem, London, which officially became a mental hospital in 1547. The hospital nicknamed Bedlam was famous for its deplorable conditions. So the hospital nicknamed Bedlam because Londoners abbreviated this to Bedlam and often pronounced it Bedlam. At Bedlam and other mental hospitals established in Europe in the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries, patients were exhibited to the public for a fee. They lived in filth and confinement, often chained to the wall or locked inside small boxes. The following descriptions of the treatment of patients in La Bastille Hospital as asylum for male patients in Paris provides an example of typical care. So the patients were ordinarily shackled to the walls of their dark, unlighted cells by iron collars which held them flat against wall, permitted little movement. Often there were also iron hoops around the waist of the patients, and both their hands and feet were chained. They are permitted enough to move to feed themselves out of bowls. They often kept them from being able to lie down at night. Since little was known about dietetics and the patients were presumed to be animals, little attention was paid to whether they were adequately fed or whether the food was good or bad. The cells were furnished only with straw and were never swept or cleaned. The patient remained in the midst of all accumulated ordure. No one visited the cells except at feeding time. No provision was made for warmth, and even the most elementary gestures of humanity were lacking. So the first act of regulating madhouses in England was passed in 1774, with the intention of cleaning up the deplorable conditions in hospitals and madhouses and protecting people from being unjustly jailed for insanity. The Act provided for the licensing and inspection of madhouses and required that a physician, a surgeon, or an apothecary sign a certificate before a patient could be admitted. The Act's provision applied only to paying patients in private madhouses, however, and not the poor people confined to workhouse. So why it was established? These asylums typically were established and run by people who thought that abnormal behaviors were medical illnesses. So example, Benjamin Rush, 1545 to 1813, one of the founders of American psychiatry, believed that abnormal behavior was caused by excessive blood in the brain and prescribed bleeding the patient or drawing huge amounts of blood from the body. So, mental illness was nonetheless viewed somatogenically, so treatments were similar to those for physical illnesses like purges, bleeding, and emetics.